if you're doing it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
If you grew up and see the way a lot of guys is we just do shit. We just get up. If something needs to get done, we just go do it. And if your son is in the house playing PS5 and you outside fixing the leak, that's a problem. Hey, put that down. We got to go fix this leak. Well, I can't get under there, Dad. I know you're gonna pass me the tools. So you'll learn the difference between a 9/16 and a ½ inch. You'll learn the difference between a 6-point socket and a 12-point socket. You're gonna understand these things just by sitting there, because we are gonna fix this leak. Not me fixing the leak because I'm dad, and then you over there just doing your thing on Instagram. That's what's important. And now you just got to do that. Real estate license. Yeah. You want to be you know what? You could do something, but you got to go. So you want to be a real estate, not a broker. What's the other one? A real estate
investor?
Agent?
Oh, okay.
Then I got to be a real estate agent with you. I got to go take the test with you. I got to learn how to do these things with you. I didn't want to do these things, but you got to work extra hard.
Because, you know, to that, I don't know if Louis is going to go, but to that as well, Shannon, these are things that don't just happen in my estimation. What I've seen is that, and also being a teacher, like a kid that is lazy at 16 was not just became lazy at 16. You know what I'm saying? Like they were lazy in other years. And now it has come to a point where their laziness has caught up to them, and it's a matter of that they got to do something. But the parent needed to see it before now, right? But if it's already now, then I'm with Shannon. Like, you got to show them, and as well as BMAT, that you got to show them through what it is that you're doing, that to show them that, you know, you may have to take them somewhere to show them what it looks like to be lazy, you know. What will happen in the future as a result of your laziness. I remember, you know, some of the students in my classroom where they weren't doing exactly what they were supposed to do. And so I would have conversations with them about, you know, what you do today is going to affect your tomorrow. And I would talk to them about, okay, your 5-year plan, you know, or even your 3-year plan, you know, because middle schoolers and definitely high schoolers don't see 3 to 4 years from, they don't see what tomorrow look like, right? I mean, matter of fact, I just finished up being a managing director for a tutoring company, and I'm talking to high schoolers, and I'm trying to talk to them about you know, what they're gonna do in college next year. Like they thinking about like what they're gonna do today. They just so ready to be out of school that they're like, I'd rather not do anything in class right now, and I'm gonna go home and do the work when there is no accountability. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, right? So it's a matter of giving them, as others have already alluded to, an example of what it's going to be if they don't do work now. I think the reality check should be a point in which it's happening in the house, as opposed to having them fail later. Because if we want our kids to be great, we got to show them what it looks like through our. If it's not through us, we got to show it how other people have done it as well.
You know, a good preventative measure is taking them into the city, take them under a bridge, and say, "This is your future. If you keep screwing."
God damn, not the brick. God dang, this
is your future right here. This is your future home right here. Go and get your pillow. Go ahead and get.
Kids are so lazy, they gonna see a tent and be like, "I could do this."
Hey, ain't no electricity out here. Ain't no PS5. Ain't none of that.
I mean, this look pretty cool. While we talking about the homeless dude, they don't look too bad. That's how lazy these kids are. But yeah, I'm tracking with y'all, man. I think I love this conversation. I do think we need to stop kicking kids out, because let's just be real. The U.S. and our customs is totally screwed. All right. Let's look at around the world who has the best outcomes. These people don't kick their kids out. As a matter of fact, they stay in the same home, women and men, probably until marriage and maybe even a little bit after that. It's all about money. What can you do to empower your children? Give them the best financial start in life, point blank and period. Now, we have to understand that in the United States, especially, 18 is not grown. It's not. All 18-year-olds are not created equal. Our children in this country are children more than likely of comfort and leisure. They don't do nothing. No, they're not even required to do anything in most schools. They just go home. Right? Like in schools all around the world, they make sure you're doing some kind of work on behalf of the local government, on behalf of the agricultural committee, on something to make sure by the time you go home, you know the value of a good day's work. Right? You go to bed actually tired, not from playing video games, not from digging out your little girlfriend and all that, from work. Young.
Don't sleep on video games, bro. Don't.
All right, but
don't sleep on that because
I know there's
money to be made.
What I'm saying. There's money to be made. 1% of 1% of people that can actually play that well. Come on now.
Oh no, they have other stuff, but I digress. Yeah. Go ahead.
So to Shan's point, not only do you have to do that stuff with your child, what I plan on doing, because let's be real, if you say, hey, I want you to stay in this house, in this country, we have more than enough distractions. Our children are going to want to leave. They can't wait to get out from under you because that's where you're most powerful. That's where you as a parent have the most influence over them. Because let me tell you, my 18-year-old son or daughter, if they're not going straight to the military, where I know how things work, I'm going to make sure they stay in my house. I don't even want them to stay on campus if they're going to school in the same area. All right. I want to monitor you. Parents, you have to monitor your children. They don't like being infantilized like that. But as we can see, they're not grown. And the world, especially our society, has too many distractions that will consume them. You can't leave it to chance. It will consume them. Too many distractions. Everything is marketed to them. On a college campus, they're marketing distractions to them, if we want to be honest. So you have to monitor their habits, monitor their spending, monitor their behavior, right? And you can always do that inside of your house. Now, let me explain why there's a benefit to this. And this is what you should do as a mother or father. There is a benefit to this because if you let your child go out of that house and get consumed by the world, it ultimately costs you as a parent. Your son or daughter will get pregnant. Now, I don't know why nobody talks about this, but my biggest fear is my son or daughter having a child young. Guess what my wife is going to want to do? She's going to want to help them all kind of ways. Now there's money leaving out of our house. My child is getting set back in whatever they were doing in life. They got to change focus and redirect. And now my wife, even though I'm about to be retired and we get to walk around butt naked, now we got to prematurely raise grandchildren, right? Nobody ever thinks about the impact to the parents that raise these children when their children screw up. I don't want my children to be screwed up. I want them to have the best chance. I want them to be dispersion, even if you didn't plan certain things. It happens within the span of time it was supposed to happen, right? To relieve yourself. It's one thing to get pregnant and, out of wedlock. It's another thing to have no chance of you marrying that guy or girl. And now you need money for a court battle. Dad, what are we going to do? That is a byproduct of failed parenting. So you can get it right the first time by being this intentional about getting it right. I'm going to plead with my children. Don't leave this house. Don't leave this house at all. I got you. What do you need? I will give you an incentive. You want to upgrade your car? Let's do it. I can pay for that while you focus. You are going to own a home by the time you leave here. You're going to be probably on track to get married by the time you leave here. All of that is possible under my leadership. But if you go out there, that world will consume you. What's your choices? That's the way I'm going to put it to my kids anyway.
Yeah, that was really good. One of the pieces of advice that I heard, I think a little while ago is raise your children so you are able to spoil your grandchildren. And I thought that was so profound. And I sat back and I kind of re-listened to it again. And it kind of brings up some of the hallmarks of young people, what they need, especially young boys today. They need discipline. Young boys need structure, and young boys need consistency. And that has to show up at every facet of their life. community volunteering is a very important thing, because what we're exposing them is to how to talk to other people, how to network, how to move around, right? Knowing what it is to put a full day's worth of work, right? Being out there and being active, to Trigger Mike's point, but also too talking about the financial and physical responsibilities of, what do you do with your money that you've earned, during your odd jobs during the summer? How do you save? How do you invest? Having those kinds of conversation. What's compound interest? What is, what's an annulment? How, real estate? These types of conversations have to happen, right? And then you use other examples, as a vehicle to show them examples of what that looks like and how does that show up in their lives, right? And to kind of go back, I kind of found what BMAC said. He's like, just take them under a bridge and show them to a homeless. My father, one time drove around and we were happen to be somewhere. And he told me, he's like, you see that guy over there? That's what happens to people who utilize and abuse drugs, alcohol, etc. That what happened to people who don't apply themselves. You know what I'm saying? And sort of these are the type of conversations that have to be constantly drilled in, because on your roadmap to success, or on your roadmap trying to guide your child out the household, there are going to be a lot of distractions, like Mike brought up. A lot of distractions brought up. But you have to always have those constant conversations like I've had and I've always listened to too. Young people need to know how to put on a clean shirt, need to know how to show up on time and be punctual, right? I mean, you'd be surprised how many times I've been in meetings and one of the younger intern or one of the younger people just shows up 5, 10, 15 minutes late, right? You should be early. You should be in the room before anybody starts. You should already be starting your day. I start my day every morning at 4:30 in the morning, getting ready to go to the gym, ready to go put in that work before I come home and start, before I start, doing this extra work, right? And
you don't have no kids, Mike.
Oh, it makes sense now.
That's the reason why I wake up a little bit refreshed.
I was like, damn.
That's airport. That's airport hours. Like,
Yeah.
I better be catching a flight or something.
I got to be there at 5, man. First one in and first one reporting out. But yeah, all those pillars right there. And I want to kind of go back to the not kicking children out. I got a lot of staying at home, living with my parents. You know what I'm saying? Even after 18, right? Because I went to a vocational high school. I not only got a high school diploma, but I also got a trade in construction and in carpentry. And I applied my trade. And I tell people I had a trade before I got a degree. And I applied my trade. And then my trade allowed me to open up another door and have my undergrad paid for practically for free. Right. So then when I got a degree, I applied that degree to make advancement, all while I was still at home, saving money, investing money, right? Helping out my parents, right? Because when you do that, there's a certain hierarchy structure. My parents owned a 3-family home, right? And guess where I lived? I lived on the second floor. The third floor was rented out. Parents lived downstairs. Brother and sister lived downstairs. There was a way to go about it. And sort of by doing that, as opposed to your child, even if you're trying to give them responsibilities to pay certain bills, right? Why would you want them to go pay somebody else's mortgage and somebody else's rent when you own your own property? Or better yet, I own a couple properties myself. I'd rather put him in one of those properties that I own that he could stay and have an apartment in, right? But that right there is setting up your child for success. And I don't think that a lot of people kind of, realize that. And then also too, financially planning. A lot of people are having kids, but they're not financially planning for kids. I've had this stuff written down and in my notes constantly about what does that look like? What does that cost? Do you have a UTMA account? Do you have a uniform minors account, right? How are you saving for college, or how are you putting money aside? Do you have your children, as a brand ambassador, as part of your business? You could write off $12,500 to them tax-free each year, right? A lot of people don't notice, and a lot of people are not applying these vehicles to save and invest and put their child in the best circumstance. So like that, you're not taking money out of your home to pay for college. You're not needing to break the bank and going deep into your pockets working overtime because you didn't properly financially started off on the right foot. So these are larger conversations that people need to have, along with all the other components that it comes to being a parent. And just listening to a lot of you brothers and getting a lot of insight and kind of looking back on my own childhood, that just only adds that extra layer of preparation. So I appreciate that.